Go for it.
Welcome once again, everybody. This is Coffee Time with Julie and Nate. We said it's episode 8. We've been doing this 2 months now. Have we been doing this for 2 months? Wow. And that means that we first kind of connected 3 months ago? 2.5, 3 months ago. I must have been
of quarantine.
Stuck in India, and I was doing everything online that was available. And I was like, Julie is online. I'm going to talk to Julie. So I did. And here we are. So yeah. Wow. How you doing?
I'm really great today.
Really great. So
yeah. How are you doing?
I was going to ask you, I am really great as well. So it's Monday. The last 3 days I've been doing the Choice of Possibilities class with Simone Molasses, who is live from Australia. And then I'm here, and it was kind of running on Europe time. So it was kind of like morning to mid-afternoon European time. So for me, it was about 2 to 10 p.m., which is nice. So I've been doing COP for 3 days. What have you been up to?
Yeah.
Wink,
well,
wink.
I could feel that COP, man. And it's interesting. So there were 2 different things that I wanted to talk about today, if it comes up. But
very quickly though, I want to say, like, you said you were feeling the COP. It was actually sort of 24 hours of COP because Simone was doing it live out of Australia, and then Brendan and Grace were doing it out of Houston.
Yeah.
So if you didn't really care about sleeping, you could have potentially done 2 COPs over the course of 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I'm sure you were feeling the one I was involved with more.
Yeah.
But
I hadn't registered to participate in either of them, but I felt the energy of it. And I know a lot of other people did too. Yeah. A lot of people were like, whoa, what the heck is happening? Like, just huge energetic shifts. And one particular day, I was just really trying to dig out something that that I was making really super wrong about myself, as one does occasionally. And gosh, it was probably the most challenging 24 hours I've had all year. And
when was this?
A couple days ago.
So it was before your class on Sunday, which I know
yes.
you had.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I got to the place where it was like, okay, hold on a second. Like, it's really the thing about not being right or wrong, but it's the when you find that there's something that you want to change, it can just be this simple energetic change. It doesn't have to be this whole big thing, and you don't have to make your entire rest of your life all wrong. And that's what I was doing. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be a facilitator, and maybe, all that stuff. Yeah, right?
What was going on with you? What?
It was just something that hit me over the head from like a year or 2 ago, that I was like listening to an old recording of something, and Dane had said something to me in class, and I just went into the all wrong thing. And it was so interesting this morning when I was making my coffee for Coffee Talk. I realized that clearing, the all right or all wrong, it's like when you have this one little tweak that you need to tweak, it's just that thing. It's not, you're not all wrong and you're not all right. And there's something beyond that. So I just figured I would run that clearing for anybody who's looking at stuff. That you need to change things because you're not, totally blissfully, totally aware yet, right?
Right.
So what judgments, agendas, inventions, and lies are you using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared as always having to be all right or all wrong that keeps you from having a totally different reality than anyone else can have? Everything that
Everything
brings
that
up.
is.
Me.
Destroy and create it all.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pocket and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
So I was
Yeah.
looking at like how much I was making myself wrong and everything wrong, and oh my gosh, my head was pounding. I felt so contracted, and I was like, I never do this. What the fuck am I doing? It doesn't take that to change. To change is like, oh, that shit doesn't work anymore. Pocket
Right.
pod next, and that's really the thing that we need to look at is, hey, is this serving me anymore? Nope. Change it. And we can do that. So I encourage you all to
Wow.
choose with
Yeah.
the lightness and the ease.
I wish I had come more prepared. There was during the COP, there was a process about right and wrong as well.
Mm.
And also, of course, if you go on the Access site, Ann Maxwell has several right and wrong clearing loops that you can buy. But yeah, one of the things I tear up every time I try and talk about it. Wow. The first couple times that I was in class and I would say something and Dane would just look at me and he's like, Nate, you're not wrong. And just to have been in and lived with the wrongness of myself for so long and had that been an important thing, actually, like it's so weird. You're fighting to be right, but you know that you're wrong, and so you don't even allow yourself to be. It's such a messed up situation. And when he was just like, Nate, you're not wrong, and like, of all of the tools of access which I have scattered around my house, like what else is possible and how's it getting better than this, and universe showing me something beautiful today, like all these amazing things, you're not wrong it's one of the, I mean, it's it's so big.
Yeah.
Because very rarely do I ever think I'm right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's crazy though, because when I've decided I'm right, I'm really really hard on being right, and I make everybody else wrong. It's such a binary system of
Yeah.
bullshit.
And
Like,
that's the thing, is that you go from one side to the other, from one side to the other, from one side to the other, and it's like that is this reality in a nutshell. And after his last telecall of finally going beyond right and wrong, it was like, oh, there's something else. There's really something else. And just ask, like, what is the energy beyond right and wrong?
yeah.
And it's this totally different, like, whoa, it fuzzes out your mind because it can't engage that judgment system of right and wrong, good and bad. And then
And it's so crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Oh,
It's so crazy how many of the tools, the basic tools, are applicable to that situation of like, interesting point of view. I have this point of view, instead of making it a decision and a fixed rightness or wrongness. You're like, oh, interesting point of view. What else is possible? And something that's been like, a lot of times I'll go into the wrongness of me and be like, who does that belong to? And that's the other tool, is who does that belong to? And then you become aware of one or multiple other people in the situation who are super judging themselves for being wrong. And just, I'm picking up on that. So like, there's so many applicable basic tools that can help you to get out of the self-judgment for wrongness.
yeah.
And another crazy thing is, being right is also a judgment. Like,
Yeah.
how long have you decided that being right is right and you need to be right and the rightness is better? Like,
That's what I learned
yeah.
from my mom. Sorry, mom.
We don't have to
Wow.
name names.
Like,
We're not tagging anybody on this, right?
there's so much. Yeah, thank God she's not on. But yeah, there's so much of this, like this freaking solidness of the rightness, and you have to do things this way, and this is how it is. And oh my gosh, I so tried to perfect that, and it never feels
Yeah.
good to, even if you are correct, it never feels good to stick it in somebody else's face that they're not right. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't make you feel good. So I don't know why
Yeah.
people try.
Huh. So
Anyway,
you were digging through something a couple days ago that just popped for you?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, was it good timing? Because I know you had a class yesterday.
Well, the class yesterday was a facelift class, and those are super fun for me. I love doing that class. So
Okay.
I
But
don't think it was related whatsoever.
right.
It more stemmed from, I think I was on a few different calls, and on some of the calls, I feel like myself, and I have no problem showing up and speaking and all of that, like now.
Oh,
And then
okay.
there was another call where there were certain people, and I'm not sure if it's the people or there was an energy or something, and I just felt like I couldn't be me. And so I was really digging out, like, what is that? What is that weird energy where I'm not me and I'm watching myself feel like I'm not me? Do you know that feeling ever? And you're just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, everything I'm saying, I sound so superficial, and or you can't speak up, um,
Yeah.
and that's just not. So I was digging into that and blah blah blah, and then I made myself super wrong for it.
Well, like I shouldn't be a facilitator. That's getting pretty wrong for it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a contribution to anybody. I'm full of shit. What am I doing?
Well, this is the potency of all wrong. You know, it's not
Yeah.
just, I can't speak up here, but I'm just so wrong everywhere in my whole life, and I'm definitely not a contribution.
Yeah.
And that feels like, that just felt so awful. I couldn't really be in that too long. Thank goodness I don't choose that very much, but it
Wow.
does it does show up. And I don't even think that it's all necessarily mine or my point of view. Probably other people are dallying in that a bit. And so,
Sure.
you pick up an energy, and you pick it up worldwide or universe wide, and try to
Right.
undo it for everybody. Aren't we great?
Well, I mean, I don't live where you live, and geography doesn't necessarily have a huge impact on it, but I mean, how many people around you, especially right now with all the chaos, are trying to make everything right or wrong? Like, this is right, this is wrong. And I mean, this past weekend, there was the first rally with the president in a very long time. And how many people tried to make that right and wrong, and all the news media surrounding that? You have all the riots. And I mean, you're doing a facelift class, which
Yeah, and
is,
that's another thing, Nate, because my kids didn't want me to have people here at the house, and I was like, okay, I'm trusting me, and I know that it's okay, and I'll make them wash their hands, and I'm not gonna be stupid, but um, I was still like in resistance to
wow.
them making me wrong for choosing that, and like really trying to choose beyond that. So it was very compounded by a lot of different things.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. And I was also going to say, like, my experience with facelift classes is it really brings up a lot of judgment that people have of themselves, of, I mean, first of all, their bodies, and also like how they've treated their bodies, how the rightness of aging, the wrongness of aging, how they've not worn sun cream, or they got, you know, whatever they've done to themselves, and then making that right and wrong, which compounds the effect on the skin and the body. But I mean, a facelift class is prime territory for people to go into that, you know. And if you had your kids, yeah, I didn't know that was part of it. How does it get any better than this?
How does it?
Wow.
It was a really great class though, and um, even just, you know, the first half hour of introducing it, these people have taken lots of classes. They had gone to COP and stuff like that, and so I could speak to them without, like, it wasn't like beginner, and yet
Right.
I approached it as if they'd never heard it before and as if I'd never spoken about it before. And after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, one of the
Right.
participants was like, "Oh my God, this is great. I need to record this. Like, I've
This
never
lady, this
heard this."
lady's got something.
And I was like, yeah, maybe I do. But
Did you
it's
not record
amazing
your
how
class?
every single class is totally different. And if you can come at it like a brand new day, first time ever looking at these tools, how can you apply them now? It's so
You know,
different.
Julie, I'm a little disappointed. You've been doing online stuff now for a couple months, and then you suddenly have people show up at your house and you don't record it?
Well, yes, I
That's a
forget.
that's a rookie move right there.
Yeah. Well, you know, all right, I do have one excuse. I was going to do a Facebook Live at
Uh-huh.
10:30 with Becky because she wanted to talk about bars and, you know, your bar story thing. So I was going to
Right.
use my phone for that. So I don't know. I just, there you go.
Well, that's a great excuse. That totally makes sense.
I'm
That makes so
totally
much sense.
wrong.
You are so wrong for not recording your facelift class.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I'm glad you had that class and people
Yeah.
loved it.
It was great.
And
That
they,
energy is so nurturing. Both of them fell
yeah.
asleep. It was just two people. And they both fell asleep when they were receiving.
Do you know? So I was in China for a COP last December, and I got up and made my announcement about doing sessions, which has so far been unsuccessful, we'll say. But I did have one woman ask me if she could do my bars, and I said sure. I think she said, "Do you want to swap bars?" And I said yes. And then she said, "Can you do facelift on me?" I was like, "Great, I'll do facelift." So I did a facelift on her, and we finished, and she was like, "That was unbelievable. I really want to pay you for that." And she just handed me money.
Yes.
And then her friend was like, "Was it that good?" And she was like, "It was amazing." She's like, "Can I have one too?" I was like, "All right." So then she finished, and she's like, "Oh, here's some money." Like, yeah. So yeah, facelift is amazing. And
It's amazing.
I guess people think it's a bit of a selling point to say that it's a wrinkles thing and like lift your breasts thing and all that, but it's so much bigger and deeper than just a skin thing. Like,
Yeah. And
it's,
this is what
yeah.
I was talking about in the class. It's not the outside in, it's the inside out. It brings out your being and it allows your being to shine through your body, which is a totally different experience, you know, and like you can see it in the photos. It's crazy. And there's
Oh
really
yeah.
no other explanation for it. So
Yeah, it's super cool. Wow. So you said two things. It was the digging yourself out of being wrong and the class?
mhm. And it
Yeah.
was phenomenal. And so then I had to acknowledge that I'm a phenomenal facilitator and I have a totally different way of presenting the material.
Well, it
The
does.
depth of 17 years.
Well, I will say like that is a really huge part of what you start to step into with classes is receiving. And a lot of people think receiving is receiving energy from others or judgment from others or receiving money or receiving, you know, any number of things. But a key part of it for me has been also receiving the possibility that I could not be terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And but
receiving
that's
yourself.
not but that's not right or wrong. And that's the other thing. It's like saying
Yeah.
something to try to prove to somebody, I don't care if anybody wants to take my class or not. It's like, I am going to do it anyway. I'll do it myself. And I welcome everybody. But I'm not coming from the place of I'm right or I'm the best. I just love doing it, you know? And
Yeah.
I know for me that that works for me.
But
Oh, look at
it's in
this.
the I know we have
Cindy.
comments. I saw we have Gloria said hi, Julie and Nate. Cindy's here. And Cindy said I had someone say after receiving a facelift, the pain in her knee was gone. And I didn't even know she had pain.
That's awesome. You know, there's something
Magical.
else that
Nice job, Cindy.
you're hitting on about the receiving. And with the facelift, because there's like 35 different energies run at the same time, it's like super intense and super nurturing, super relaxed.
What's your favorite one?
My
Like when
favorite.
you run through the list? Sorry?
I don't know. I like them all.
I know I like them all, but every time I read through it, I always get to God's laser and I kind of
Yeah,
go, kee, 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 kee. Like,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. And I add in my own.
What?
I add in my own because I've been doing
You
facelift for
rebel.
many, many years, and there's a couple other ones that you can
What's it
see.
called? Like Julie's magic dust? Or like, did you?
Or no, should I make you come to a class to hear it?
Absolutely, you should make me come to a class. I'll let you know next time I'm allowed out of the country.
Anyway, what what I was what I was getting yesterday is the relaxation. The relaxation is the receiving. Like we have to be relaxed to receive. And I know Shannon talks about that a lot on her calls. She'll say, relax, relax more, so that you can receive. And so, you know, bars teaches you how to receive. And so does this facelift. I mean, all of the body processes do, really. But this one, I don't know, it just knocks you out and it
It
makes
does.
you receive. And you end up being so much more.
Cindy calls
Virus.
it God's. She calls the God's laser God's kisses.
Uh-huh.
Come on, that's not quite laser energy, but
Yeah, no, it's
I
not.
mean,
But
we could have
Cindy's
God's laser and Cindy's kisses. How about that?
yeah, Cindy's kisses.
Julie's adding in her own energies and stuff. Cindy can do that too. So
Yeah.
wow, well that's good, awesome, and you can be having classes now,
Well, I think you can have small classes,
right?
you know.
Just pretend they're coming over for coffee and wearing masks when they're actually touching each other.
Um, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I know.
People aren't
I
really,
know.
they're not really regulating it. You can go to retail stores and stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So, yeah, the COP, I was one of the hosts for Simone COP, and we have just a couple minutes left, but I just wanted to say this to anybody who is going to listen to this or is listening to this. I was one of a couple of hosts for this, and we had a like private hosts chat happening, and I can get a little bit, what's the word, risque, we'll say, or adult. And I was in there with another facilitator who is fine with that and has a massive selection of very adult stickers and GIFs to send in the chat. But then there was another member of the chat who was very reluctant to jump in on the naughtiness. And so we kind of like started poking her a little bit about that. And it came up when she was like, this is really weird because a lot of people in Access are very open-minded and they have a lot of no point of view about sex and things like that. And I've always just kind of thought that sex is bad. And it kind of created this conversation in the host chat with a couple of us. And we're like, oh, wow. And then she was talking about like, what does an orgasm feel like?
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow. Well, I mean, as a man, I don't think I can address that necessarily for a woman. But, you know, maybe you want to ask this question in the class. And she was a little bit reluctant to do that, but because we're in charge, of who's asking questions, we just told Simone, we're like, hey, this girl's next. And then she was like on the spot.
Oh, shit.
And she asked her question and she continued asking questions, and it opened up a space for everyone on the class. Like, you might think that you're wrong, or you might think that you have a stupid question, or you might think that you're the only one with an issue.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to be brave, if you're willing to step up, if you're willing to make a different choice, like it's such a gift to everyone. And that was, I mean, it was 3 days of amazingness, but that was one of the times, because she had a conversation with Simone and then they kind of like finished up. And then in like the class chat, everybody was like, thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Wow, that was so great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, so it was to the point where Simone stopped and she said, hey, you need to look at the chat and you need to receive the gratitude that everybody has.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So
that's huge.
If you think you're fucked up, you're probably not even close to as fucked up as you think you are, number one. And number two, if you're willing to step out of hiding, if you're willing to step out of secret, if you're willing to acknowledge what is for you, it's such a gift and such a contribution to everyone.
Including you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like the smile on her face 5 minutes after she started asking the question, because she was shaking in her boots at the beginning.
Yeah.
Super nervous. What am I going to say? I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm going to talk to Simone. And she started, and then the space that opened up and the possibilities for joy that opened up and the acknowledgement of what's there and what is and who you be, like, just it's just so amazing. So
it's like all
I would just say
that we use against ourselves to keep that hidden,
right.
You know, and then you let it go and it's like, wow, all of a sudden you're in so much more potency than you've ever been before. Yeah.
And when you be you, that's the whole thing. Be you and change the world. And when you do that and you're not playing the games or wearing the masks or the costumes or filling everyone's projections and expectations at you, and you're willing to step into it and say, this is what is for me, it unlocks so many more people. Like, it's so great. So, I mean, yeah. So that's my encouragement, is like, ask questions and just be you.
Yeah. And the energy moves so quickly when we're
Yeah.
willing, when we don't need to hold on to it and make ourselves wrong or right.
Yeah. When you were talking at the beginning, I remembered I was reminded at the beginning when I started taking access classes, I was like, this is a massive shift in my life. I'm really going to step into this, and I know this is going to be a huge contribution. And I started talking a little bit about it to people who couldn't receive it and didn't know what was up, and I didn't know how to talk about it. And so suddenly, like, Nate was in a cult, and he was going off to these weird meetings on the weekends, and and I went into the rightness of what I was doing. I went into decision of, like, this is what is good for me and everybody else in the world. And I remember calling up one of my coworkers who was a bit of a loudmouth and kind of influential in the community. And I said, hey, let's have a beer. And I tried to sit him down and explain to him about Access. And that was such a colossal waste of time. And I thought I was going to be able to sort of convince him of the rightness of what I was doing and the wrongness of what he was doing. And anyway, I don't know if that's apropos of anything, but when you were talking earlier, that just reminded me.
Well, and it's like, it's not right of you and it's not wrong of him, for choosing different things. It's just, when we're ready to have it, we'll choose something different. It's funny because I did a telecall, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, 5 ways to dissipate fear. So, and I thought, $25. Like, wouldn't I have 100 people in that? They were like 8 people or something. And I'm like, really? Or maybe even less. And I was like, okay, let's just really just ask the question instead of assuming that this is what people are looking for. And I asked, like, truth, is the majority of the world interested in 5 antidotes for fear? And I got no. I'm like, that's crazy, but that's what is. And it's okay. And nobody has to choose it if they don't want to.
Yeah.
But if they do, hopefully one day they'll stumble across these tools and get out of it.
I know you gotta go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say very quickly, one of the nuggets that came out of the COP. Do you remember? Was it like 2 years ago that they said we reached 10,000 people in consciousness? And we had that call and we asked for the 10 things and 10,000 people. Gary, just a couple of days ago, said, did you hear this? 8 million people in consciousness. Oh, you heard this. 8 million. 8 million people. Like, for 30 years, it was like 50 and then 100 and then finally 10,000. I know. And now it's like 10,000. Woo! And now suddenly 2 years later, 8 million?
Wow.
That's insane. But you look at the changes happening in the world today, and I guess it's not that unexpected, but wow. Oh, how's it getting better than this?
Yeah. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I did hear it this morning on a call at 5:00 this morning.
Which call was that?
Shannon has a club consciousness call.
Yeah.
I think that's where I did it. Anyway, yeah, very cool.
So much stuff to listen to.
I'm, and like, so everybody watching this and everybody watching it later, we are all part of that contribution of that change. Whether you've ever acknowledged it or not, every choice you make to come out of the rightness, wrongness is a contribution to having more people choosing consciousness. Yay.
Alrighty. Well,
yes, I am late for my other
I
thing,
know.
but it's a pleasure to chat with you. And
you too. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We had a couple people here, and it was lovely. Cindy, thanks for listening, and Gloria as well.
Gloria.
And I think I missed a couple people, but
anyway,
yeah. Gloria, the entrance of the Aquarius age. I'm a Cancer. No, I'm not. I'm a Gemini. Is that a problem? No. I'm just being a dick. Sorry. Sorry, Gloria. Anyway. All right. So next week?
Fan group, and we're going to be back next week, right?
Of course, yeah. We're keeping this. I mean, it's been regular. Of course, we're doing this Monday nights for me, Monday morning for you.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.